Welcome to American Dealmaker. After the episode, it's your turn. So for season 1 of this podcast, we are voting on Twitter if the startup is a big break or a big mistake. But each episode, we're going to tally up those votes, and at the end of season 1 of this podcast, we're going to find out who has the American deal. Whoever has the most handshake votes on Twitter is going to be the startup with the American deal. Your votes do count. Excited to see who has the biggest touchdown. Welcome to American Dealmaker, where you decide if it's a big break or a big mistake. On today's episode, we have Marty and Cho from San Francisco, a startup founder who's working on an app called Mechi. Stay tuned to watch the episode, and then you can vote if our startup founder has a deal. I'm your host, Constance Castillo, startup founder and dealmaker. Let's go to the deal room. Hi, Marty.
Hi, Constance.
Thank you for being here today.
Of course, my pleasure. It's really honored to be here.
I'm super excited to have you in the deal room.
Thank you.
I'm excited for you to come on this show. I know that we're both startup founders, and so it's always nice to get that early adoption from people who are working on introducing new things into the world. So I'm glad that we could make this happen.
Thank you.
And seeing that you're based in San Francisco, and you've hopped onto the American Dealmaker today. How'd your day go? Anything interesting?
I mean, today was a little bit busy. Kind of, meetings after meetings. I'm sure you understand being a founder yourself. But this was really, really important. I was like, I couldn't miss this. It's kind of like sort of a subtle validation that you kind of need for your idea. So no, I couldn't have missed it for anything.
Amazing. Well, I'm super excited for you to be able to introduce Mechi to our audience.
Yes.
So let's hear the high-level pitch.
So high-level pitch, Mechi as a company is a digital public health company. And I think it's the very first time that we're actually thinking of healthcare from a public health perspective as far as digital health is concerned. And so Mechi is a mobile application that we're building. And the whole premise behind it is using recreational activities as a tool to actually promote health and wellness. Majority of the population actually doesn't know what moderate intensity exercise is. My background is in healthcare. I'm a nurse practitioner, and I strongly believe that more medical professionals should be sitting at the table as far as digital health is concerned, especially in this day and age with AI coming to the table and disrupting the industry. I think it's really prudent that more clinicians like myself are sitting at the innovation table. And that's kind of what's really motivated me to take on this journey.
Amazing. I love hearing about your background, and I want to dive into that as well in today's conversation.
Yes.
But before I do, let's hear about your app.
So
tell me what the app is for.
Yes. So basically the app is an environment where you get to meet and play with people of any activities of your choice. Right, so think of it like soccer, for example, is my hobby. It's like the thing I do to decompress. But one of the challenges I faced was every time I go to a recreational game or like join a league or go to a pickup game, it was the skill level was off. It was like either one person's really, really good, they would just dribble everybody, it was disorganized. And so then it dawned on me, I'm like, okay, well, how do we break it down so this is fun for everybody, right? So can we get the 50-year-olds to play together? Can we get the 30-something-year-olds to play together? Can we get the 20-something-year-olds that are just want to blow up some steam to play together? So that was one aspect that we're solving for. The next aspect was the challenge of time. We know throughout life, your time commitment is going to change, especially when you talk about raising a family, starting a business. Sometimes you only have like 30, 20 minutes a day. And so to me, it's like, well, I want to keep playing soccer. How do I do that with a busy life? And so Mechi is going to be that platform where you literally just open the app and it'll be like an Uber, and I want to go play pickup soccer, moderate intensity or moderate level, skill level. It's available right now, and they need 2 more players for a game of 10, a 5v5 aside, right? And so it's like that very quick, on demand. We're living in a world where it's fast paced, people want things now, and so we don't want to compromise on that side of it, but also recognize that there's a value added in like the day-to-day happiness of people through recreational activities.
So I absolutely love this. I'm going to dive into some high-level pitch questions.
Yes,
But
please.
first, I just want to share that I think it's so cool that you started off, you were in the healthcare field, and so you bring a lot of perspective to an app like this. I actually was just speaking to another nurse who became a startup founder the other day, and I just think that tech attracts a lot of people who have different backgrounds, but healthcare is not one that I've seen as much, and so I think it's really great that you can bring that hands-on experience to this.
Thank you.
And this is a problem that I actually face myself.
Yeah.
I love soccer. I would love to play
Yes.
a pickup game here and there.
Yeah.
I'm also haven't played in a while, so I think that what's really cool about your app is the ability to schedule that in and be able to do activities like that,
Yeah.
because sports is such a great way to work out. Light exercise is extremely healthy. But I think that this is an app that I'm definitely going to use. With that being said, when can I use it? What's your launch? Are you on the App Store now?
Absolutely. So we just launched our MVP 3 weeks ago. And as you know, as a starter, once you launch, the clock starts ticking. Everything is going to break. You're probably going to get to the brink of breaking yourself, but you need to keep pushing, and that's where we are right now, is pushing to retain the users that we have to get the app to actually do some of the very basic fundamental functionalities that we need them to do. And right now it's just, can I sign up? Can I find other people around me to go play with when I'm available? And can a proprietary algorithm actually accurately find other people with your skill level to go do these things? Certainly, pipeline down the road, we're looking at also using now wearable data, even manual, being able to check your heart rate manually and entering it in your profile and trend that over time. We know that just a resting heart rate, which is a cardiovascular health metric, is so predictable for cardiovascular health. And so we're looking at integrating that as well onto our platform. But yes, you can in fact download the app on the App Store and iOS and Google Play. However, though, as far as full functionalities, we are currently just in the Bay Area because we want to iterate and make sure it's working flawlessly before we go nationwide. And certainly, our goal is to go global.
Amazing. I love that. And I love that community is a big part of your app. So can you talk about the problem with the sports community and what challenges people face in playing that soccer game?
Yeah. So I think to take it a step back, we are not so much like a clear-cut traditional sports app, right? This is like for the average person.
Yes.
And I think the definition is when people hear sports app, they're thinking of Peloton. And I hope you can edit this out if I'm violating any laws, right? Or like joining a gym. No, like to me, is as a clinician, I know that when I see a patient in clinic, I say, do you exercise? And immediately they go, oh no, I don't exercise, right? But I'm like, no, I'm just looking for moderate intensity. Most people don't know what that means, right? And so then I have to spend half an hour educating them. What qualifies as moderate intensity? Oh, okay, is when I'm able to walk, I can feel that I'm breathless, but I'm still able to have a conversation. So that's what I'm going after. And actually really using that to show people, hey, you don't have to join a gym. You don't have to spend $4,000 to get a piece of equipment. Just go for a walk. And if you're feeling scared or alone to go for a walk, there are people now on this community platform that you can just literally on demand and ping to go. And there have been some concerns like, well, what about safety issues? I'm like, no, we're taking that into account as well, right? If you want, like Uber does it, right? If you don't feel safe, you can report an incident right there and there. We are taking action to the point we can even call the police based on where your geolocation is.
That's amazing. I think that really decreases any kind of fear of putting yourself out there into a new experience.
Yes.
And the fact that you've taken that into consideration is huge because a lot of apps don't for a lot of their journey. That's something that they start to consider later on. So that's awesome that in the beginning, even in the MVP, you have the reporting, which I love. In regards to sports, and you said it's not a sports app, which I appreciate, and it's not a gym. These are activities that people a lot of times do for social community rather than exercise, but it is exercise.
Yes.
Tell me what sports that people can start playing today.
Yes. So as of today, you can go for a hike, you can go for a walk, you can play soccer on Mechi right now. As of today, you can request to go play a game. The next games that are going to be coming up on there will be obviously pickleball. Everyone is requesting pickleball, but certainly our algorithm needs some slight tweaking to, because we really want our games like pickleball and tennis to a little bit more specific, right? There are some metrics that you, as a tennis player, like, if you're a 2 or a 4, what does that actually entail? We have to take that into account. But yes, you can certainly go for a hike on the Mechi as of today.
Oh, wow. I personally love walking, so the fact that that's an option is amazing. So right now, I'm thinking that this is a big break from everything I know about the app. Yes, and
hopefully the audience thinks that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that lots of people are thinking to themselves, can I get on this app? Yeah. So tell me, what's your ideal customer profile?
If we look at between the ages of 30 now, who are the working class, probably going to be able to afford a subscription version of the app, the $5.99 a month. That's the generation that has jobs, have that kind of constraints on their time, still have an interest in some of those hobbies that they had when they were playing in college, would probably like to get into them, but are restricted based on time. And then closer to the 55-year-olds was like people that are like, they've kind of done it, they just want to be able to go biking on a weekend with their guy friends or girlfriends or pals or whatever, right? And so I think that's a niche for now, but obviously this is open to anyone. If you can walk or even in a wheelchair, we want this accessible to you. Because even people in wheelchairs play basketball. People in wheelchairs can wheel the wheelchair around the street, right? There's a lot of health benefits just being outside and just, walking down a neighborhood and look at mirrors, on walls that have been painted by artists and things like that. So we are building this with everybody in mind that can actually have any interest or any activity at all that they can imagine will be on this.
Inclusivity is great. I think that's fantastic. I want to get into more of your personal story, but before I do, one more quick question as far as the business. Yes. How are you marketing in your MVP right now?
Yeah. Marketing as in getting it out to people.
Yes, how are you acquiring new users?
Yeah, so right now our MVP was launched. We collaborated with Stanford. And we had a booth. They had a 5K run to raise awareness for congenital heart disease. And we just had a booth, and on that booth we had a QR code. Fun fact, that was the day we launched the app was the day this run was happening. And just from that, I think that's where we got a bulk of the users that we currently have. And then just from word of mouth. From my place of work, just talking to people when I was doing the initial research on this, interviewing people. People like, yeah, I'll be down to try this. This sounds really interesting, right? Especially people in healthcare. We take care of people, but no one really thinks about how to take care of the staff, of the people that will take care of the population when they're sick. If we're not investing in their health, then we're kind of setting ourselves up for failure, right? And so nothing gave me more joy than when I heard that validation from a nurse. Oh my God, this would be so perfect for me because I work 3/12s and sometimes I'm off on a Wednesday. Everybody else is working on a Wednesday. But guess what? Chances are there's another nurse that's off on a Wednesday. And what better way to get these two nurses to meet up and actually stay active and lower their cholesterol and lower their blood pressure.
Amazing. And I love that you launched at a run. I am a runner myself, so I love 5Ks. Invite me to the next one that you guys do. I want to hear more about you. So tell me, what has your story been like to entrepreneurship?
I would say my first company was when I was 6 years old. And I remember that vividly when my mother told me that if I wanted new shoes, I better go sell some peanuts to buy myself those shoes. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. And guess what? I did. And she was like, well, you earned it. You can buy yourself this pair of shoes. Now, a little bit about my personal story. I'm a first-generation Cameroonian. I moved here about 19 years ago. And the American dream was drilled in my head from a very young age. Where it's this is the land where you go, you work hard, and things will fall in place for you. And honestly, I'm a testament to that. Right? I came here with 4 people from our family, and we had $5 to make a phone call when we got to the airport. And from there, it was just been one major either roadblock or opportunity, and you just have to figure it out. So became a nursing assistant. When I literally say I started from the bottom, now I'm here. I started from the bottom, now I'm here. I grew up in a very tiny village in Cameroon. Would go to school, secondary school, high school in the city, and during the summer months, I would go back to the village with my grandparents. Grew up on a farm, so being resourceful is kind of in my DNA. And then I moved to this country, and it was just like a light went off of the opportunity. So it became very clear to set some pillars. My favorite comedian of all time, Trevor Noah, actually, and Kevin Hart. Oof, I hope they don't hear this.
So good, so good.
They had a podcast episode on Trevor Noah's show What Now, and in that episode they talked about life pillars, right? Like you have this grand vision, but to get there, set yourself some pillars. And to me, I just knew early on that I needed to set those pillars, and that was a college education for me. I didn't have the finances to go to a conventional four-year college or go to MIT or, Harvard Business School, whatnot. But I understood that if I took advantage of the resources that were available, I can get to whatever I wanted to be. And so I became a nursing assistant, worked my way to an associate degree nurse, had a bachelor's degree, and then went back for graduate school, became a nurse practitioner, currently practicing as a nurse practitioner, and a specialty in cardiology. But that passion really came from watching my mom struggle. My mom, God bless her soul, R.I.P., I lost my mom at 17. And that broke me. And to me, that idea of watching another 17-year-old, lose a parent at that age and having so many questions as you're growing up and having these moments where you wish you could just share them with that person and they're not there. They motivate you, but they're also humbling in a way, and so that's what fueled me to get into healthcare. And after working in cardiology for about 8 years now, at least both as a nurse and a nurse practitioner, I just saw that trend where patients will come in and we'll have this conversation. We'll wait until they're really sick before we start them on medication. And then they go, oh wait, you mean I could just be more active and you could take away my blood pressure medicine because now my blood pressure is better? And I'm like, yes, your blood pressure can literally drop by 20 points if you were just more active, right? And so this whole idea of prevention, to me, that really became really dear. Because I'm like, diabetes is a thing, cholesterol is a thing. Yes, there's some genetic aspects of it, but it's not as much as more of a lifestyle change that needs to happen. And so to the entrepreneur side of it, I just got tired, honestly. I just got tired of just doing the same thing and expecting different outcomes. I felt a friend Einstein called it, it's insanity, right? And so to me it was like, listen, at least I'm going to try to do something, and if I fail, at least I failed trying. Right? You fail 100% of the things you never try. And so that's what's fueling me. Is like, if I can at least make an effort, it maybe inspires the next generation to come back and build something better, right? And to that's a win for me. So that's what's really motivating my entrepreneurial journey and experience. And it's been a ball, honestly.
Oh my gosh. Well, I want to get into that too. Wow.
Yeah.
But thank you for sharing your story,
Sure.
because I think you have an amazing story.
Thanks.
I am so excited that you're able to dive into these details, because a lot of people see startup founders and they think it just seems out of reach.
Yeah.
And to hear that you've been able to go through so many difficult pieces of your journey and find ways to change the world, I think that is true entrepreneurship, and it's very inspiring to anyone who wants to change the world as well.
Thank you.
Because look, you have so much that you have gained in your perspective, and you're doing something. Like you said, you got tired and you decided, I'm actually going to create the solution. For you to be able to share that, I think, is a true example of what it means to be a business owner and what it actually takes. And I would love to hear as well from you, given that you launched this product now, there's a preventative way for people to gain that healthier lifestyle,
yeah.
and they can actually download it with Mechi.
Yeah.
So tell me about some of the great experiences that you've had as a startup founder. I mean, it sounds like it's had some ups.
Oh, it's had, I would say, definitely more ups than downs. I think the biggest up was overcoming the imposter syndrome, right? I'm not a technical person. But I knew that I had the clinical knowledge and the clinical drive and the understanding of the clinical aspects of it to create this. Mm-hmm. And so then the big question was, can you even convince a technical person to even buy into this, to even write the first line of code? So sitting at a dinner and pitching this to a fellow engineer, to then go, wow, actually, no, this is interesting. Actually, I see myself using this because I haven't been able to find anything like this. I tend to just look at the world as more positive than negative, right? And so honestly, I can't really tell you that many negative things so far, except for when you're really hoping that this button will work the way you want it to work, and then it just doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And then that's the one button that the user happens to be stuck on, and now it's just like, oh God, I'm gonna lose that user, right? Mm-hmm. But the one thing I'm learning, and I'm continuing to be okay with this, is I started this from just an idea. Like, this didn't exist at all, right? And so I am reminding and constantly, grounding myself to be okay. Like, listen, it's not going to be perfect. Nothing is perfect. And as long as you are doing the best, you go to sleep every night, you ask yourself, you can look in the mirror and say, I did my best today. That's a win for me. And so that I celebrate those moments. And then certainly when we got that acceptance, because launching with iOS,
yes, the App
I
Store.
definitely lost a lot of hair during that period.
You think building an avatar and then you try to launch it.
It's practically impossible.
Yeah.
But again, rallying, motivating all the engineers, my co-founder to like, hey, we're gonna work till 2 a.m. in the morning to try and get this to go through. Because literally, I'm at a conference where I'm actually presenting an abstract based on this idea, Preventative Cardiology of Nurses Association. And I'm like, this is a novel idea. Like, wow, we can actually use this to promote cardiovascular health. Is this available yet? I'm like, no, it's not available yet, but we have a website, we have a waiting list. Mm-hmm. Just jump on the waiting list. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, oh, this could be live like right now, and have people just see what that initial traction is, right? You want to see what your graph looks like. And so again, those moments were like really, really nerve-wracking. I'll be lying to you and say, oh, that was fun. It was not fun. But after that is gone, yeah, it's so rewarding. It's so rewarding to just be able to open my phone and be like, holy crap, this is my app. This is an app that I am intimately connected to, right? Like, obviously it took an amazing team to bring this together, but like, this is something that a year ago lived in my head.
Well, I think that this is such a great idea. I am seeing confetti. Confetti.
All right.
So
the confetti came out.
What I think is so interesting is getting to know you and your story.
Thank you.
And I want to kind of let the audience in on what's changed for you as an entrepreneur in your routines.
Yeah.
What would someone be surprised to learn about how you stay productive and how you approach your work as a leader?
Yeah. So I actually read a book. I don't know who wrote it, but I know the name of the book, Ikigai. And so to me, there's something that really resonated was this idea of being able to do something that gives you a sense of purpose, right? Like and like moment by moment. Mm-hmm. And then another book that I read that really gave me this sense of like grounding and like self-realization of who I was and what I wanted out of life was The Power of Now. Eckhart Tolle. I know when I read that book, it just gave me a sense of like, oh, what life is all about, right? Like just truly being present in whatever I'm doing. And so to really be disciplined, I think I take that very seriously. Like I listen to my body, right? My body is one thing, is one way that I get to experience life. So I gotta take care of it. So if I need to sleep, yeah, it can wait. If people are gonna delete the app, let them delete it. That's okay, right? I need to be alive. I need to feel healthy, right? So then I'm not, quote unquote, an asshole to my team, and then that's gonna go down the rabbit hole. So I'm blessed that I'm really tuned in to be able to know, okay, I need sleep. Oh, I'm getting restless, I'm getting antsy, I need to go exercise. Oh wait, it's 2 a.m. and the ideas are just flowing. But I'm not gonna lie to myself and say, oh, I'm just gonna meditate and sleep. That's fine. I will, sometimes I literally would get up at 2 a.m. and just go to the whiteboard and write ideas after ideas after ideas, draw out a schema. And then it literally is like, when I'm done, it's like, oh, okay, now I go to sleep, right? But now I'll go to sleep for like an hour. Personal adjustments that I've made will be like, just kind of moving my work, my day-to-day job, right? Like I still have responsibilities. I still have to pay my rent. I still have to feed my household and things like. Of course, I'm blessed that I have a partner that's also working, and so we have a dual income household. I recognize now how much of a privilege that is, right? But I have not taken that for granted, and so balancing that out and really looking now at my professional life and say, okay, I'm not just gonna just chase my career or my profession by just chasing it. I'm gonna actually do my profession to align with the things that I believe in. And to me, Mechi is something I truly believe in, like through and through, right? And so now, if I can mesh those two together, oh yeah, I'm alive.
I want to talk more about Mechi. So let's, for our deal makers, get a few more pieces of information. So we've got Strava. I know the app Strava has that community aspect. It's one of the popular ways that people share their exercise. Now tell me, what are Mechi's biggest competitors?
So right now, obviously Strava is one of them. Meetup is another one. Out We Go is another startup that just launched. Halo actually just launched about 2 years ago. Those are our biggest competitors. And yeah, those are the big ones that come to my mind.
With the subscription, so the only advantage that they get for the subscription is that they gain more knowledge about where the locations are, or is it more like if you are on the subscription basis, then you as a company would be able to organize events by renting out a certain place or certain thing, maybe a bi-weekly or once a month.
Correct.
If you are on the subscription, then you readily get an invite to go play on that day, maybe.
Great points, great comments, actually. So our subscription model, obviously, we want this to be equitable, right? And when you talk about equity, what does that really truly mean? Because equality is not equal to equitable, right? And so what is the bare minimum thing that our app can do to achieve and make a mission, but also sustain itself as a business, right? And the bare minimum thing we want to do is to get people to just move for the things that excites them. As long as we can do that, we are at least on course for our mission for the people that cannot afford that $5.99. I am not naive that $5.99 a month is it's the difference between somebody eating or not eating, right? And so what does the free version get you? The free version says, for low entry, low resistance activities, you'll probably have access to those, right? Like just going for a walk, for example, going for a hike, like activities that you don't really need that much equipment for, you can go to. Now, when it gets to be a little bit more complex, where you're like, oh wait, okay, now I want a certain specific profile of a player to be matched with. Now I am really demanding a lot from our algorithm to find the specific metrics for you. Then that's when we say, okay, I think that can help us pay our engineers. Your $5.99 pays our engineers, right?
Makes sense.
But not just that, but again, I would think that if I'm gonna give you that feedback loop to really say, hey, that hike you went on, this is what it meant for your cardiovascular health. Granted, not everybody's gonna be interested in that, and that's fine, right? But if somebody's going to pay $5.99, I want to be accurate in giving them that information, right? I want to give them access to that information. If somebody's going to pay me $5.99 a month, then I want to make sure that if I'm recommending a field or a trail around them, that we have at least done some due diligence to make sure that information is accurate, right? So it's information accuracy. Also looking at, validating these locations where our team will actually call and confirm the data that we're getting. I understand that's a lot of tedious work, but there are over 8 billion people in the world, and they need jobs, and a lot of these jobs can be done remotely, right? And all it takes is just call the location, confirm, hey, how much does it cost to book the field, and all that. So if we can give our users this information for $5.99 a month, then I think that's $5.99 well spent, honestly.
Great question. Audience, now it's your turn to deliberate. Cast your vote on Twitter if you think that Mechi is a big break or a big mistake. I think it's a big break.
Yes, thank you.
Now, you know what? I'm going to make you a deal.
Okay.
So, I think this idea is a big break. I'm going to cut you a break.
Okay.
So, I'm going to give you all 4.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you. This has been a truly incredible experience. I'm going to split some with you because I'm generous.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you to our studio audience. And thank you for being here on this podcast. I really appreciated getting to know you and getting to know your startup.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing your story with us today, as well as so many interesting pieces of the way you view entrepreneurship and your own perspective on fitness and health. It was wonderful having you here in the deal room. I hope that it wasn't too nerve-wracking. Go ahead and let us know, deal makers, if Mechi has a deal. And stay tuned for our next podcast guest.